The Trefoil Talks, celebrating 30 years of Women of Distinction.
My name is Mary Pat King, and I'm the CEO of Girl Scouts of West Central Florida. Welcome to our Women of Distinction Trefoil Talks, a reimagining of our annual Women of Distinction event that honors its 30-year history. These live panel discussions will feature past Women of Distinction honorees and other notable women in our community. They'll be giving advice for young women who are making decisions about their future, continuing our goal of connecting today's women leaders with the future women leaders we are building at Girl Scouts. We are able to further our mission of building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place because of your generosity, which is needed now more than ever. If you find this program to be valuable, please consider making a donation by visiting GSWCF.org/WOD, and we hope you will. And now, the Women of Distinction Trefoil Talks.
Hello, and welcome to all those joining us for the third in a year-long series of Trefoil Talk live broadcast. I'm Yvonne Fry, and I'm excited to be working with my co-host for tonight's event. Lindsay, welcome back. I hope your summer has been going well.
Yes, thank you, and my summer has been going very well. I hope you're having a great summer as well, and I cannot wait to talk to these amazing women tonight.
Thank you. It's been a dreary couple of days here with this rain, but I think tonight will brighten everyone's outlook. As part of this year-long live series, tonight's focus is on emerging leaders in finance. We have a wonderful group of young professional women who are making their mark in the Tampa Bay region with several of our leading banking institutions.
I'm very excited about this event as I'm about to start my senior year of high school, and I've got some questions on managing money, and I know we're also going to talk about some career paths in finance too.
Lindsay, you are very smart to be interested in financial matters at this point because adulthood comes very quickly, let me tell you. I know we're all going to learn a lot from our panelists tonight. Before we introduce them, though, let's take a moment to hear from Lorna Taylor, CEO of Premier Eye Care and a 2013 Girl Scouts Woman of Distinction, on why she supports Girl Scouts and this program through her sponsorship investment.
I'm Lorna Taylor, the CEO of Premier Eye Care and Woman of Distinction Class of 2013. Premier Eye Care is so proud to be the premier sponsor for Girl Scouts of West Central Florida's Trefoil Talks. Girl Scouting builds girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. And as a Girl Scout, I know firsthand that the work this organization does is exceedingly important. At Premier Eye Care, we also work to create a safe place for women to excel and prosper. We ensure that women have equal pay to men and that they have equal access to positions at every level of the company, including the roles of directors, vice presidents, and officers. As business leaders, we believe in Girl Scouts and appreciate everything that Girl Scouts of West Central Florida is doing to develop and prepare our female leaders of the future. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you enjoyed the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida Trefoil Talk.
We are so thankful for Lorna's leadership and support of women and girls in our community. Lorna is a champion for positive change and for empowering women to their greatest success. Thank you, Lorna, so much.
I completely agree. She's certainly a woman that I know I look up to. We appreciate her leadership and sponsorship to help support our programs and the girls.
Lindsay, we are all here to support you and all the rest of the Girl Scouts. That's what this series is about and why we're engaging our community with these panels. I want to mention 3 additional sponsors who have helped make tonight's event possible. Please help me thank Bank of America, Raymond James, and Regions Bank as additional partners this evening.
I'm so grateful for their investment in this program. It's great to know that Girl Scouts matters to companies like this. We continue to have so many opportunities through Girl Scouts of West Central Florida, and I welcome all my fellow Girl Scouts who are joining us tonight. Let's meet our panelists.
Yes, I'm so excited. We have some wonderful women to introduce to everyone as we get the conversation with emerging leaders in finance underway. Let's begin by introducing our first panelist, Michelle Christie, who is a financial wellness relationship manager with Regions Bank. Welcome, Michelle.
It's my pleasure to introduce Vanessa Maternowski, an enterprise business support manager with the Bank of America.
And to complete our panel this evening, we welcome Elaine Petrarca, who is a corporate banking credit associate with Raymond James. Thank you to each of you for investing, you get that, the time with us tonight. Lindsay, I believe you have the first question for them.
Thank you, and hello, ladies. We have some great questions for our discussion tonight, but we want to start the evening off by asking each of you just to share some details about your career path, especially how you got started, and then, of course, what your current job responsibilities are. Ms. Christie, if you want to start us off.
Sure, and thanks for having us. So I'll start by saying my journey is a lot different than what I thought it would be when I was studying at, let's say, University of South Florida, go Bulls. But I was studying health sciences and public health, thinking that I would make a ton of money in health. I knew I just wanted to help people in that way. But I'm a talker and a doer, and that kind of wouldn't fit for me at all. So I thought to develop programs for communities so I can impact a greater number of people. And that kind of switched into health, wellness in regards of like mental health, physical, nutrition. And I realized really quickly that while I'm helping and teaching leaders about that, we were failing in finance. And so how can I help my community in that way? I thought, hey, might as well learn myself. And I began in financial wellness, financial literacy, as most call it.
Wow, that's super interesting. That's a crazy path. Mrs. Maternowski, if you'd like to share your journey.
No, absolutely. And thank you very much as well for having me. And I think mine's a little bit similar to Michelle. I actually didn't envision myself being in finance. So funny story. So I was in retail and going to school for healthcare administration. And my husband was the one who actually applied for a position with Bank of America. He got the job offer, but also received a competitor offer with a startup company. So he spoke with me and said, hey, I think this should be more, for you. I thought about it. I got an interview the next day, and within a week, I had my first role as an inbound small business customer service associate. That was 9 years ago. Hard work, discipline, strong work ethic. I found myself doing really well helping others, but more so finding solutions to problems. So I surrounded myself with like-minded individuals. Speed up, 9 years later, I'm an enterprise business support manager where I have a team of 50. It's a mixture of market managers and small business bankers. And we're here to support our business clients with solutions to credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, and other lending products.
Wow, thank you so much. And last but not least, Ms. Petrarca.
Thank you so much for having us. Usually when I tell my story, I'm the only one that had sort of a different path, but it's great to be surrounded by other women who didn't study the typical finance or math in college. So when I was in high school, I toured Raymond James and spent an afternoon meeting with senior female women around the firm. There's so much more to finance or wealth management beyond accounting or investment banking or a couple other things. It's really such a vast industry. And one of the women told me, you can go and study whatever you want in college. And if you do well, there's a place for you and your interests in our industry. So I went and studied economics and English at Wake Forest. I came back to Raymond James before my senior year of college, and I interned in the compliance department. And it was really great because I was able to utilize the skills that I learned in college. And from there, I came back after graduation, spent a couple of months in our rotational development program, and ultimately it landed in corporate banking as a credit analyst. So my day-to-day involves a lot of attention to detail, a lot of financial analysis, a little bit of writing, and a little bit of portfolio management. And it's been awesome so far.
That's great. It's so interesting to hear about each of your professional journeys and what your jobs require and so on. I'm also interested, I know you are too, Lindsay, in in learning more about some of your challenges along the way. Maybe if y'all can share one thing that has been an obstacle, and really, how did you overcome it to be in the successful spots you are now? Let's start with Vanessa.
Absolutely. Bank of America is one of the largest financial institutions. So, I mean, me just coming in, you know, at first it's intimidating of like where to start. We have 8 different lines of businesses. Within those 8 lines of businesses, we have smaller departments. And in order for my team to, you know, be successful in their day roles, we need to know policies, regulations, procedures. So to go and start, I actually began with a mentor. A mentor helped me navigate the bank because they not only helped me build other connections with others, but they also helped me, you know, personally. I know one of the things that we start off when we begin to network is an elevator speech. Like at first it's like, what is that? So that has been incredibly helpful. And now as I continue my career journey, I would say it's still a challenge because as you begin to climb the ladder, you get more exposure and you get to see additional leaders. So mentors has absolutely been someone that's there that will help overcome the challenges in navigating a large corporation.
Do y'all have built-in mentors? Like, or is that intentional, or you just have to seek out and try and find your own?
Bank of America actually has employee network groups. I actually am part of the Lead for Women employee network group. So they have internal programs that help us with, what do you need help with? Like we have someone that you can connect with. And I mean, I have mentors that are still with me today because I feel like when you have a mentor, they're with you for life.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad that there's a built-in support system, but still you've got to do your part for sure. What about you, Elaine? What has been a challenge or an obstacle, and how have you overcome it?
I honestly think my biggest challenge is myself. I'm young, I'm a female in a typically male-dominated industry, and I graduated from a liberal arts college with a double major in economics and English, and I have a really bad habit of downplaying my own achievements. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting and had an idea and sat silently. And then 10 minutes later, somebody spoke up and said something similar. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, why didn't I just say my mind? Why didn't I ask my question? And I voiced that frustration to a manager one time. And he told me, this is the best time in your career to suggest ideas or ask questions because you're young and have a fresh perspective. He said, what do you have to lose? If it's like an idea or a question our team has already worked through and decided it's not a good fit, we'll explain that to you. And if it's a good idea or even the start of a good idea, we'll help you flesh it out. And maybe it could be something that you implement that could turn into, a firm-wide program. So not letting myself get my own way takes constant work. I constantly work on my tone of voice, my facial expressions, my executive presence. I find that I tend to lean to the corner of my chair or cross my legs and make myself put myself in a box, basically. I look smaller than I am. I'm 5'2", so I'm already, trying to take up space when I don't have a large personality to do that. So, sitting with your feet straight on the floor, arms on the armchair rests, having that executive presence, looking engaged, not just with your mind, but your full body is something that I constantly tell myself to do. And the past year, it's kind of been a struggle on Zoom, but I think I'm finally getting the hang of it. So yeah, I think my biggest challenge is myself, but it's something I work at every day, not to let my own self-doubt, work on my confidence, those sort of things.
Wow. Those were some strong words of wisdom that we all needed to hear. And I would challenge you to say that your strongest asset is yourself. And but I really, really appreciate you being so vulnerable and speaking about things that we as women need to hear, need to address, need to be self-aware about. And it sounds like you are well on your way with the powerful 5'2" that you are for all that is in store ahead of you. And I'm so excited to see your trajectory continue as well. So thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. Michelle, round us out with your obstacles that you've faced as well.
Sure thing. So I can think of a few. And like Elaine, being a woman in a male-dominated field is one thing. Being often the youngest in any room that you go in is another, and absolutely being the darkest in a room that is not so diverse. So those are 3 big challenges that I faced. What's funny is I never really noticed that until maybe a few months into the role of any role. And so I'm like, well, I'm here for a reason. And that's what's important. I think not only just that, learning that when you're in that room, you're there to prove that yourself and to do your work and the work that you love. And so when they'd be kind of surprised to say, hey, who's this young girl? And those are some great ideas and fantastic. Join us here, join us there. And that kind of helped just learning to be yourself as well. I can agree on the second point, Elaine, that I'm kind of bubbly. And so being a bubbly person, you can be seen as you're not serious, right? And banking is supposed to be serious. Well, in my particular role, it's a great thing to have a personality, to laugh and smile and connect with people. So it's always played to my advantage to just be myself.
Wow. I think about, we have a variety of audience segments that are watching this, and I'm especially thinking about our Girl Scouts and, whatever your personality is, being able to play on that, grow in some ways, but really embrace who you are and the strengths that you bring and so on. And each of you brought so much wisdom in this and practical knowledge that I think is extremely relatable. So thank you so much for that. There's a lot of heads in the room shaking their heads here live, but I can only imagine those that are watching this as well. So I really appreciate all of that candor.
Yeah, especially as somebody, on the younger side, being a Girl Scout, I really appreciate just being vulnerable about your challenges and the ways that you've overcome them. I think that's really inspiring, just as somebody who's trying to, make their way through. Yes. But I wanted to ask, I'm thinking about going to college next year, and I kind of want to talk about budgeting and get some financial advice that will help me not only in college, but beyond that. And I was just wondering, is it too early to start saving or investing? And how do I get started with a healthy financial plan at my age? And is there such a thing as being too young or too old to begin a financial planning?
That's like 5 questions.
Yeah, that was a lot.
You had a lot to think about going to college. I love it.
Ms. Petrarca, if you want to start us off.
Sure. Honestly, I love this question. It gets me so excited to talk to young people or even my friends about investing, just to toss around ideas, because there's so many avenues out there to help you become financially independent or build your wealth. So I'd say it's never too early to start budgeting. It can be as simple or as complex as you like. So when I first graduated, I created this extremely detailed spreadsheet. I knew where all of my dollars went, like down to the penny. I could tell you exactly where it went and what I spent it on. Now I'm a little bit simpler, where I have these things called buckets, and they're more like mental buckets, but I have like a food bucket. So like I create a budget for groceries, eating out, going out with friends. And then I have like a travel bucket where I save for flight tickets. And then I have like an essentials bucket. But I would say it's never too early to go as detailed or simplistic as you want. And the one thing that I love about my personal bucket method is that at the end of the month, if I notice my credit card bill is too high, or, my bank account's a little too low, I'll go back through my charges and categorize them and see like which bucket looks a little too full or too heavy. And then the next month I make a monthly goal to bring that down. So right now my monthly goal is to eat out less and to cook more at home, since it's a little bit cheaper. I really learned my first year that you think $10 at Starbucks isn't a lot, but when you do it every single morning, it really adds up. So, like finding little ways to cut down on the cash that goes out, so you have more to save, which segues into one of your next questions. It's also never too young to start saving your money. You'd be surprised at the power of compounding. So $5 today is going to be a lot more tomorrow if you invest it. So if stocks and the market kind of stress you out, they have these things called high yield savings accounts, which aren't really your typical bank savings accounts, but they work just like a savings account, but the interest rate's a little higher. So I personally have one. I was able to open it without ever going into a bank. And I put money in there every couple of weeks. It's just kind of to let it grow, because it's not probably going to grow in your checking account. But if stocks do get you really excited, like they do me, and I'm sure a few other women on this panel, I know you all, or most of you, have heard about Robinhood. So you can always start by taking a little bit of your monthly extra money and saving it to invest in Robinhood. And since you're young or just getting started, you really don't have to stress about buying high or selling low, because you're not going to be using that money most likely. So you can invest in things that interest you. So I have a friend who really loves Louis Vuitton. So a couple months ago, she invested in Louis Vuitton, not because she was hoping it would, skyrocket and make her wealthy, but she just really enjoyed the company and the values and what they stand for. So she put a little bit of money in there, and it's just sitting there making her money, and she's not even working for it. So I'd recommend getting it started as soon as possible.
Thank you. I really appreciate that advice. You touched all the bases that I asked about all at once. Yeah. I really appreciate you giving some more simple approaches too. I think that's really helpful. It can be kind of an overwhelming thing. Ms. Christie, did you have any advice or anything to share?
Absolutely. So I think understanding the difference between what you want and what you need, especially when it comes down to your dollars and cents, is going to be one of the most important things. And it can become a practice. So I've practiced saving half of my money when I was a young one, and I didn't even realize, but I'm still doing that today. So it's just practice makes perfect, and keeping all those skills with you and top of mind.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll start working on that now, apparently. Ms. Maternowski, you have any advice to finish us off?
Yeah, I want to say just absolutely, it's never too late. The hardest part is getting started. So absolutely start now. I will, emphasize that the resources that are available to us with, the hands of technologies there, having a long-term, a short-term goal is important, but also knowing what is coming in. So know what your income is. I know when I had my first paycheck, you calculate your hours and what your hourly pay is, and then you have this dollar set in your mind that's going to be deposited in your account. And then you realize, okay, it's not as much because you have to deduct your taxes. You have Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. So, and then one of the things that I want to add is investing in your future. If you're entering a workforce that offers 401k, start early and right away. I started 3 years into the company because I didn't know. And, now I want to emphasize on what Elaine said. Like sometimes I get really excited, and I do have my husband that helps me because I'm not the best when it comes to math. So, but start now, have a long-term, short-term goal, as well as an emergency fund, because you never know when unexpected things are going to happen.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know I'm definitely going to be taking some of that advice to heart, and I'm sure most of the Girl Scouts listening are definitely going to take some of that too. So I thank you.
Are you going to open a Robinhood account?
I might have to now. You got me interested.
It's really fun.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, I might have to.
You're going to
got me intrigued.
Yeah, and it's common sense. What companies do you enjoy and all that? So yeah, circle back around. That'd be great. If we're going to switch gears a little bit, not too far, but if someone was going to pursue a career in finance, how do they get started? And we've talked a little bit about, none of y'all were math majors. And I don't think any of y'all have an accounting degree. I think that's a general consensus that people come in thinking that finance, I've got to be good with numbers. But can you tell us truly what are the skill sets or strengths that are helpful and essential in a finance career? We'll start with Michelle.
So being a team player is huge in my role. I connect with bankers across the state, whether it's those in the branch or those who are giving the loans to businesses. And if you're not a team player, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to navigate your world, but also being a communicator. So understanding how to get your messages across clearly, as well as doing so in a certain fashion, right? You've got to make sure that you're on target and you're looking ahead at your goals, but also considering that team player. What are my team's goals, and how could we all achieve and get that done effectively? But there are quite a few other things I'm sure that are involved in that. Just being a stellar banker, not only just counting, having those sorts of skills, but I'm sure our panelists can kind of dive in a little bit more.
Beautiful. Vanessa.
Absolutely. So I agree in reference to, the degrees. Entry-level roles, if you're looking for that foot in the door, I started my role in a call center, and worked my way up. I have, peers that started as tellers in a financial center. With the enhancements in technology, a lot of the processes are really automated. So it doesn't make it easy, not only for you as the employee, but also as, a consumer. But as far as skill sets, I can tell you, yes, you need leadership skills, organizational skills, and strong communication skills, but finance and banking, it's a business, you're working with people. So you need people skills. You need to be able to have empathy, be able to relate, understand, ask the right questions, but then also have strong work ethic. Finance and banking, it's constantly changing. It's an ever-changing environment that you need to be able to like pick up and go roll up your sleeves, strap your boots, and get in there. So there are going to be tough times, but I would say for sure it's being able to have those people skills and strong work ethic and discipline.
Great. Lots of things in there, but all much more so about your character and your commitment to your clients and to your company and to your teammates and so on that I'm hearing. So great stuff. Elaine, help us close out this topic if you would.
Definitely. So I want to touch on the part of the question when you said, how would you get started? Because I know that it can be kind of overwhelming for people. So I would recommend starting by understanding what you are interested in. For me, it was economics and current events and how the markets and investors react to those current events. So the next thing that I did was I researched roles that kind of align with my interests. Like, okay, I really like researching. What role has a research component? I really like talking to people. So what role is a people speaking component? I really liked my English major. So how can I utilize my strong English skills? So I was able to use my passions and interests to find a role in the financial services industry. And that honestly is what gets me out of bed going to work every morning. Because on mornings like this morning, when it's a little bit dreary, you've got to be motivated. You've got to do what you're passionate. And that's really going to highlight and shine in the workforce. You can have really great people skills. You can have really great attention to detail skills. But if you don't love what you're doing, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to show that. So I would say that Vanessa and Michelle touched on all the important skills, and I would definitely echo them. And I would also say that an important skill is to find what you're passionate about.
Beautiful. If you're not passionate, it shows. If you are passionate, it shows. And I would say that each of you are very passionate about what you do and the give back involved in investing. It's punny, but it's not. But really serving your clients, and that comes through. And I applaud each of you on that. Your success is going to be greater in the future. We've got a couple of questions, a couple of things that have come in that we wanted to. I'm going to lump together two questions that really feed together. And the first one is, what is the best piece of advice you've received? And maybe tie that in also with a piece of advice you would give our early career Girl Scout alumni. There are some watching and will be used in some other ways for your answers. So, if those are one and the same, great. If they're not, feel free to expound for sure. And we'll start with Vanessa on this one.
Absolutely. So I would say the best advice that I've received is to be yourself, to be authentic. I know, Elaine, you talked about this earlier, and it's one of the things that's really tough because as you work alongside people, you sometimes, start to say like, oh, I wish I had that person's talent, or I wish I had their skills. But in essence, it's probably that person also looking at you saying, I wish that I had what you have. So believe in your strengths, play to your strengths, but also believe in your abilities because confidence is going to lead you on. As far as future advice, I would say preparedness. Always, you hear the saying like, be the smartest person in the room. I would say be the best person that's prepared, because when you're prepared, it doesn't matter what questions thrown at you, like you will be able to, readily answer it. So that would be my advice for a future.
So you're saying homework doesn't end after high school or college?
It does not, absolutely not.
It does not end. Yeah, and you've got to do that work for sure. Show up. Elaine, what about you? Advice.
So I'd say the best advice I've been given came from my dad. And he said, you may not be the smartest person in the room, but be the most hardworking person in the room. So if someone's getting there, 8 to 5, you get there from 7 to 6, you read the news, you be prepared for anything, like Vanessa said, be the most prepared person. And that's definitely something that I try to live by. And I would say that something I would tell my younger self, piece of advice is not only should you know your worth, but it's okay to know your worth. There's a difference between confidence and having inflated ego. But if you know the answer, raise your hand. If something doesn't sound right in work or with friends, say something, because your perspective is incredibly valid And building confidence from a young age will not only help you in your personal life, but also in the workforce.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then Michelle, thoughts here?
Sure. So echoing what these young ladies have said, but adding a little bit of early to bed, early to rise. And, that's what makes the people happy, healthy, and shine, something along those lines. But honestly, I never knew the importance of sleep and getting rest and mindfulness and taking care of yourself. Those things are the most important to show up as your best every single day. Of course, along the lines of preparedness, right? Do the research, do the homework, and no, it doesn't stop, unfortunately, but it does become more fun. So some advice that I would give to my younger self or some budding scouts would be to be yourself, absolutely, and don't worry about it. You'll get paid. You will get paid astronomical amounts when you think about career, but it's doing what you love every day was really going to get it done for you and for the people that you serve.
Yeah, that's great. I am so thankful for each of you sharing with us tonight. We're going to keep on moving here and start to close out. It has been a joy to spend this time with each of you. We want to thank each of you for the time. And
to all my fellow Girl Scouts, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And I hope you all enjoyed this experience as much as I know I did. If you're interested in staying involved with the Trefoil Talks, you can actually meet requirements toward earning badges by tuning into these events. So for more information, check out the Girl Scout website at GSWCF.org/WOD.
Lindsay, it's been an honor to get to co-host again with you tonight, this panel. I'm glad you've had a great summer. It's going to be a great year ahead as you are going to rock your senior year. I know it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see all that you do this year and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much. It's been great co-hosting with you as well. And I'm glad I've been able to speak with our panelists tonight about finance, and I'm definitely going to be putting some of their tips into action.
I think we all got some great takeaways from the conversation. Thank you to our viewers for joining us this evening. We also want to invite you to the next live Trefoil Talk on October 6th at 7:30. Our focus next time is on entrepreneurship.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
We want to again thank our sponsors, Premier Eye Care, as well as Bank of America, Raymond James, and Regions Bank for helping to make this panel a success tonight.
Thank you again for joining us, to each of you. We have one more message from Laura Webb, President of the Board of Girl Scouts of West Central Florida, to close us out tonight.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I'm Laura Webb, President of Girl Scouts of West Central Florida's Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us for our Women of Distinction Trefoil Talk. I hope you found it insightful. I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, including Fried Egg Productions and Premier Eye Care, for their generous support of this project, as well as so many others. And thank you to everyone watching for your belief in girl possibilities through your support and participation with Girl Scouts of West Central Florida. We provide life-changing opportunities for thousands of girls and young women in our community, but we couldn't do it without you. You can still go to GSWCF.org/WOD to make a contribution. Thank you again. We hope to see you at our next Trefoil Talk and in person at our 30th anniversary event on March 18th, 2022.